Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for another great video at Here's My Take. Please go ahead and like this video, leave a comment afterwards, and subscribe so that you can receive more of my content. Today, quickly, what I want to do is I want to show you a system that I've been working on. I've been working on the system for about 3 years now, and I've learned a lot more. So I want to show you how I have kind of reconfigured it and some of the things that I'm doing with it. Here it is. You see this box here with note cards in it, right? See all these note cards? All right. Okay. All right. So what this box is called is a ZettelKasten system, or ZettelKasten box. The ZettelKasten is a German word, Zettel meaning card, and Kasten, which means box. And you put those together, it's a note card box. Where does this idea come from? It comes from a guy named a man named Niklas Luhmann. Back in the 20th century, he was a very prolific reader, writer. I think he was a sociologist, and he was very, his work was, I don't know if I could say that the work is profound, but I mean, many of his colleagues and contemporaries of his day were astonished and mesmerized by how much content he was able to turn out. And the reason was because of the system that he had in place. All right, so I want to show you what I first began with. I started with this shoebox system back about 3 years ago when I first learned about taking notes on note cards. So this is kind of like the system that I started with here. All right, and I've already began to pull some cards out of here and put into my ZettelKasten system. So that's why it looks a little empty here. But anyways, so I first learned about it 3 years ago from Robert Greene. Probably have heard of his name. He is most famous for his book, 48 Laws of Power. And he's written other books like Mastery and The Laws of Nature. But he would use this system. So what he would do is he would read hundreds of books. So when he's preparing to write a book, he would read hundreds of books to research first. And as he's reading through the books, he's making highlights. He is writing in the margins called marginalia. He is writing in his own thoughts. And then he would put that book on the shelf for about 2 weeks. And then he would pull that book off the shelf after 2 weeks and go back through it to see which notes he wanted to transfer from the book to the cards. And the reason he would do that is because what he thought was profound, like a profound insight when he was reading the book, was not so profound 2 weeks later. And he didn't want to just transfer a bunch of unnecessary notes from the book to the note card. So that's why he would put it on the shelf for 2 weeks. But then he would just, he would transcribe some of the notes onto the note cards, and then he would put it categorically into his shoebox. And that's how he would write his books. And so then after he has done all of his research and is ready to type it up, he'll take the note cards out for whatever section of the book that he wants to write. And he has a whole elaborate system there. Excuse me. So the thing that I started off with that idea, and then I don't know how I stumbled upon this guy. I'm gonna give you his name in a second, but I don't know how I stumbled upon him. I think what happened was when in January I started my doctoral program, and I was searching for ways to help me write papers faster, because getting a doctorate is all about writing. It's all it is reading and writing, reading and writing. And so I wanted to find a system that could help me turn out papers quicker after I read. And so I was doing more research about how to do that. And I stumbled upon this book called Taking Smart Notes. And I guess by just Googling and typing it into YouTube, that I found this guy whose name is Scott Scheper. Now, Scott Scheper is, I would say, he's probably one of the most profound experts at this point. I mean, he's made himself an expert when it comes to Niklas Luhmann, who is kind of like the guy who perfected the ZettelKasten system. Now, I don't know if I said this, but ZettelKasten is a German word, and Zettel, it means card, and Kasten means box. So you put those two words together, that's note card box. And so Scott has done tremendous research, and this whole book is about Luhmann and how Luhmann set up his ANTI-ZettelKasten system, or his note card system, and why it's so profound. Now, anti-net does not mean anti-internet. It is actually kind of like an acronym. A is for analog. So with this system, there is no, I mean, not well, for the most part, there is no digital. You don't do anything digitally. You have some people who, from what I understand, use systems called Obsidian and other systems. But Scott, he absolutely believes that there's more benefit in writing things out by hand, and there's some science behind why that is so. And I can talk about that in another video. I just don't want to belabor all of the details in this one. Just want to give you an overview of what I'm doing because I think it's pretty cool. So A is for analog. N, you see that pretty, so I know people are looking at the scar in my hand. This is an old football injury, so yeah, that's what that is. All right, so A is for analog, N is for numeric alpha. So in the system here, and I can show you a card real quick if I can find one. Here it is. Well, I'll choose this one here. So numeric alpha. Don't want to lose my place here. So you see, let's see. Adjust. There it is. All right, see in that left right hand corner, there's 1101/1A. So that 1A, those numbers in that letter is the numeric alpha, and that's it. Yeah, I'll explain that later. T is for tree, and I is for index, and NET is for network. So it's analog, numeric alpha, tree, index, network. That's what anti-net is, and it's pretty cool the way he came up with that. So if you're interested in what I'm saying, go to his YouTube page, Scott P. Scheper, and you can subscribe to his page and just look at some of his videos, and then if you're interested in it, you can purchase the book. But here's the beauty of the system here. So in the front, you have these cards where you see A through Z, right? This is what we would call an index. So each one of these letters has a letter associated with it. So this is A, and you see applied science, so that's 5,000. Okay, in the back here, you have categories and you have numbers. So here, the first card that I have, the first category that I have in my box is humanities. And what Scott encourages people who follow his system to do, which is the Luhmann system, but what he encourages people to do is to follow the academic disciplines. So there are 5 major academic disciplines, and the 5 major disciplines is humanity, social sciences, natural sciences, formal sciences, and applied sciences. Humanities, so social sciences, natural sciences, formal sciences, and applied sciences. So those are the 5 broad categories of academic disciplines. And then within those categories, you choose whatever you're interested in. So for me, because I am in school getting my degree, my doctoral degree in apologetics and theology. So theology would be a category for me. Apologetics is a category. So theology is a part of humanities, and then apologetics is a part of theology. And then also a part of humanities, a subcategory in that, is language and literature. And I'm a big nonfiction reader, of course, so I love biographies. So I put that in that category there. And then also I love to study history and different forms of history. I study ancient history and U.S. history, and then law and philosophy and logic. All right. Now, each one of these categories has a number associated with it. So for humanities, is category is 1,000. For social sciences, is 2,000. And natural sciences is 3,000. Formal is 4, and applied sciences is 5,000. Behind humanities, behind 1000. I have theology, and I have the definition of what theology is here. And I have that listed as 1100. So that's 1100. Now I know that theology, since theology is 1100, that means that it is a part of the 1000 branch. Okay, that's where the tree comes in. Just think of a tree. So humanities is a branch of the tree, and theology is like a twig or something, I guess you could say, from humanities. And then what branches off of theology is apologetics. And for apologetics, I have it listed as 1101. Now, Scott says that these numbers are kind of arbitrary, but I try to have some type of uniformity just from my mind. And one of the things that he talks about is you're not striving for perfection, and I understand that, but my brain, I just kind of like to have some type. It has to make sense to me. So then, once you set your cards up and you set your categories and your subcategories up, so the theology is a subcategory of humanities, apologetics is a subcategory of theology, then I can start filing in information. So here is a card. Got to make sure that you guys can see this. Pull it back a little bit. There we go. So here's a card talking about David Hume. David Hume was one of the first individuals who developed an argument against the miracles, one of scientific arguments against miracles. And he thought that reason was more important than revelation. And so I wrote down a definition here. There's a book that I read called In Defense of Miracles, and what David Hume's definition of a miracle is, which he says a miracle is a violation of the laws of nature. Now, this is an idea. So you see that 1101/1. 1101 lets me know that this is in the branch of humanities, because it's a 1000 card. And because it's a 1100 card, it lets me know that it's in a branch of theology. But then this is a separate card. But then it's a 1101 card because it's in the branch of apologetics. But that /1 there lets me know that this is the first idea or the first thought that I've had that goes behind theology. Apologetics. Now this card here is 1001/1A. And what that means is that this card is similar to the card before it. So the card before it talked about David Hume. This card also speaks of David Hume and Thomas Jefferson. It's really talking about Thomas Jefferson, but it also has some information here about David Hume. And so this is where the numeric alpha code comes in. So that 1A there tells me that this card is very similar to the card before it, because that 1 is the first thought that I had in the apologetics category. But that A there tells me that is very similar to the card in front of it. Now, if I have a card in here that is the second idea in this category, like this one here, that's 1101/2. So this says that this card is the second idea that I had about apologetics, and this talks about Tacitus, who was a Roman historian, and Tacitus spoke about the historical Jesus. So this is evidence for the historical Jesus. And so this card here is 1101/2A, which means that the card before it is similar to, this card is similar to the card before it. And so this is also talking about Tacitus and a quote that he had about Jesus. Okay, so y'all see how that works. And then the next card is a third idea that I have in apologetics. This card is 1101/3. So this is the third idea. This is talking about minimal facts. Gary Habermas, who is an apologist, has come up with this idea about minimal facts. So no, y'all not interested in all of that. And so this is 11/3/1. Now, this is interesting here because the reason that this is not a 1101/3A card is because this card is not directly related to the card before it, but it does branch off the card before it. So the card before it is minimalist facts, which is an argument for the resurrection and how to disprove some of the arguments that comes from naturalistic theories. Okay, so you have naturalistic theories that disprove the resurrection and miracles, and then you have, or miracles in general. And then you have Dr. Habermas, who in his work argues for it. So it's kind of this card branches off the one before it. So that's why it doesn't have a letter behind it, but it has another number, because it tells me that this is in apologetics category. 1101 is apologetics. This is the third idea, but then this is the first idea based on the third idea, which is why that's a 1. Hope that makes sense. All right, so it goes through all of that. Now, the index, every time I list a card, right, and I'm thinking about where this card goes in my index, and I'm thinking about where I should put it, and what other ideas are related to it, I then have to come up here in my index and be sure that I'm listing it in my index. So I'm gonna go to S, because I know I have a lot of S cards. I thought I had a systematic theology card. Maybe did I put it somewhere else? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. All right, but here it is. The S category here, right? So you see I have quite a few things. So if I want to, let's go to systematic theology definition, and that is going to be 1802/1B. 1802/1B. So I'm going to go through my index here. I'm going to find the 1800s section. We see that's 1202, so that's not it. That's 1300. 13. Keep going. That's 1700, so that isn't it either. And that's 1900, so I think I've gone too far. All right, so now let's see. All right, this is 1801. So this is church history. 1801. And then 1802 is systematic theology. So my first card in systematic theology is 1802/1. You see that right there. And we're looking for a 1B. Okay, here it is. So card 1802/1B. And this is a definition of Christian theology. What is theology? Theology according to Erickson. All right, so that's how that system works there. So I am over 15 minutes now. So I just wanted to show you all what the system looks like, and then and if I get some good response from this video, I'll talk more about some of the insights that I have gained after I have started this process, and how Scott has helped me, and what I'm learning. All right, y'all. Remember, like, leave a comment, and subscribe. See you next video.